forging. So it is a deformation process in which the workpiece is compressed between two dies using either impact load or hydraulic load to deform it. So what is happening in this case, it is also a form of a deformation process, and in this
Okay.
the workpiece is compressed into two dies as it is shown in this. This is open die forging, this is workpiece, these are two dies, upper die and lower die here, and it is compressed to for deformation it, the force is being applied from this direction here. It is used to make variety of high strength components for automotive, aerospace and other applications. So it has been applications are in various fields. The component includes engine crankshaft, connecting rod, gears, aircraft structural components, jet engine, turbine parts, etc. So then categories based on temperature, that is on basis of temperature it has been divided into three categories that we have discussed earlier also. That is cold forging, warm forging and hot forging. So the difference only lies between the temperature range. Like in case of cold forging, it is done at room temperature. Then in this warm forging, it done that is above room temperature but below recrystallization temperature. And in case of hot forging, it is done above the recrystallization temperature, that is hot forging in this case. Then category based on presses. So the press, basically these dies are also known as presses in this case. So like in for first impact load, that is forging hammer. Where if we are to apply the impact load, that means the sudden load is to be applied, then it is taken as a forging hammer. Then and if there is a, we can say, loading of a gradual pressure, means we have to increase the pressure on a gradual way, means we will be increasing it slowly and slowly. The pressure will be increased not of a sudden matter, but it will, the intensity of pressure will increase with time. So that is basically gradual pressure, and that is for that purpose we basically the press is known as your forging press. Then category based on type of forming, that is open die forging, impression die forging, flashless forging. Right now, what are these three forging? We will be discussing each in detail. Like in first case, that is open die forging. In open die forging, the workpiece is compressed between two platens or dies, thus allowing the metal to flow without any restriction in the sideward direction relative to die surfaces. So as we see in this figure, this is the upper die, this is lower die, in between is the workpiece. Clear? So when the workpiece is compressed between the two dies, clear, and this allows the metal to, we can say, uh, pile up, or we can say the force is put in the vertical direction. So the metal is compressed in this case, and this allows the material like this workpiece to spread in sideways direction. So when the force is being directed from top and bottom, the only place left for the workpiece to, we can say, to flatten or to, we can say, to expand is the sideways. So when there will be forces on top and bottom, it will obviously be extending to the sideways. So in open die forging, it can expand to the side, but in this case, we see height will be reduced and the width will be increased in this case when we go for open die forging in this. Then next is your impression die forging. Now impression die forging is somewhat similar to this, but there is an impression, or we can say a cavity is being done, and plus there is kept a small gap in between the two dies. So in impression die forging, the die surfaces contain the shape that is given to the workpiece during compression. So means a cavity or a shape is already given to the die, thus restricting the metal flow significantly. So it is not allowing the, we can say, metal flow like in the case of open die forging. They can, in the previous case, it can go sideways to any extent because it is free to expand to sides for this way. But in this case, we are restricting the metal flow by providing a cavity, by providing a shape. So there is some extra deformed material outside the die impression, which is called flash. Now, due to this gap is kept, as it has not been touched, the upper die is not touching the lower die. So this part that is known as your flash. So this part will come outside the, we can say, the impression of this, and this part is to be cut down after the forging is done. This part and this part. Clear? So, and this part is known as your flash, and this part will be trimmed later on. So means this part will be taking off the this part from the finished product. Clear? Then in flashless forging, third one, the workpiece is fully restricted within a die and no flash is produced. So in previous one there was a flash, clear, because there was a, we can say, opening or the space left in between the meeting of two dies, clear. But in this case there is no space left. The material is, we can say, fully or wholly restricted in the die. So there is no point of we can say generation of flash in this case. The amount of initial workpiece used must be controlled accurately, that is matches the volume of die cavity. So it should be that the volume or the amount of initial workpiece that we are taking, so it should be controlled, because we should not have the extra material, neither we should have not have the extra material, nor we should have, we can say, a lesser material. Clear? So the material that is to be used for this purpose for flashless forging is to be, we can say, volume, or it should be calculated before, so that there should not be it should be adequately, means adequate amount of material is to be required, because if it gets less there will be, we can say, a whole blowhole over this type, and if the material, extra material is being provided in this case, then it will not fit into the die, because the material, excess of material will not allow the die to close fully, and if the die is not closing fully, the actual shape that we are requiring in this case will not be achieved also. Yes. Then open die forging, let's take it in detail. A simplest example of open die forging is a compression of a billet between two flat dies. So this is a billet, it is being, see, it is being shown in 3 stages. It is also known as upsetting or upset forging. Basically height decreases and diameter increases. So this we were discussing only, that when we will be putting on the vertical forces, we means the forces are applied on the top and on the bottom, then there will be, if we say, there will be decrease in height and increase in diameter. Where as the height goes on decreasing, the diameter will go on increasing in this case. Clear? So as and more force will be provided, the more and more height will be going down, and the more and more, you can say, your thickness will be provided upper for this. Clear? So under ideal conditions, when there is no friction between the billet and the die surfaces, homogeneous deformation occurs. Like when this is the case of ideal condition, when there is no friction. Clear? So because when billet has to be forged down like this, so there has to be some, if we talk of like if there is movement of this, and that movement will be resisted by the friction. If the friction is not being available over there, the friction is not there, then there will be a homogeneous deformation, and this diameter increases uniformly throughout its height. So in this case, the diameter will increase uniformly throughout its, as compared to its height. This one is height, this one is diameter in this case. In ideal condition, strain is equal to natural log of h naught upon h. H naught is basically height, actual height, and now h is your final height, in between height, when it is in a partial compression. So it is being done in 3 stages: start of compression, partial compression, and the last one is completed compression in this case. So where strain will be maximum for the whole forming. Also, F is equal to sigma F upon into A. So it is A is whereas the area is used to find the force per required forging, where the sigma is flow stress corresponding to the strain at the stage of forging. So sigma F is basically the flow stress, and That is when it is corresponding to the strain at that stage, when it is, whether it is a start of compression, whether it is a partial compression, whether it is your completed compression in this case. In actual forging operation, the deformation will not be homogeneous. This was, we were talking of an ideal case, but ideal case in this case will not occur because we cannot ignore the presence of friction in this case. When we are talking of actual forging, there will be, the friction will be present over this time. So in this case, there will not be a deformation, and we can say homogeneous deformation. So the deformation will not be homogeneous as the bulging occurs because of the presence of friction at the die billet interface. So earlier it was like this stage. So it was, we were going and see in the previous slide, it is going like with the decrease in height, there was increase in diameter in the previous slide in that case. But in this case, in actual forging condition, it won't occur because when we'll be pushing it from the top and bottom, and where the force is provided on the vertical ends, there will not be the, we can say, the uniform increase or the homogeneous deformation in the diameter, because there will be bulging over this time. Yes, so this is a bulging shown over this place. So they will be providing a bulging on this, and the presence of friction at the friction opposes the movement of billet at the surface. This is called barreling effect. Clear? So what will be happening, that bulging is being, we can say, opposed by due to the presence of friction, and that, we can say, opposing of this is called your barreling effect. So this is basically your barreling effect. The barreling effect will be significant to diameter to height ratio of the work part increases. Due to the greater contact area, the billet die interface temperature will also affect the barreling phenomena. So in this case, what is happening is the barreling phenomena. So barreling, what is barreling? Barreling, say, it is diameter to height ratio of the work part increases. So it is not like this, that if it is there will be increase in the height as much as the height of the, we could say, billet will be this. So as much will the bulging, as well will be the barreling effect will be taking place over that place. Clear? So, and that will, it is dependent upon the diameter to height ratio of the workpiece. That is because as the height increases, the bulging will also be increased in this case. So the barreling phenomena will be also be taking place in this case. So this is load cylinder, diameter cylinder having height to diameter less than 2, frictionless. So this is basically shown the three, we can say, cases. And this is a long cylinder with height to diameter is greater than 2. Clear? So this is height, and finally this is barreling effect or bulging effect. Clear? The phenomena, and cylinder having height to diameter less than 2. Clear? So it is like it will be having such a shape, and in the case of frictionless, it will not be, see, the edges for this, the long cylinder is somewhat like this shape. Clear? If it is going inward, and but first it is concave, then it is convex over that part in this case. And in the case when there is greater than 2, height to diameter ratio is greater than 2, then there will be almost concave. Clear? When there is a frictionless compression, it is a straight line. See, clear? So three cases have been discussed for the height to diameter ratio for barreling in this case. First one is height to diameter is greater than 2, height to diameter less than 2. Then third one is frictionless compression. So more of this, we can say, shape of concave and convex is given when the height to diameter is greater than 2. Then only concave when it is less than 2. And for the frictionless compression, it is a straight line on the both the side, means there was uniform deformation or homogeneous deformation is taking place when there is no friction. But this is considered in the ideal conditions, as ideal conditions doesn't exist. So in the actual conditions, there will be having, we can say, the bulging, or we can say the barreling effect will be taking place. Then it is your closed die forging. So closed die forging, called an impression die forging, is performed in dies which has the impression that will be imparted to the workpiece through forging. So In this case, it is impression die forming, and it is done with the help of dies, and the die have the cavity or the impression that is to be provided or that is to be imparted to the final product in this case. Clear? So in the intermediate stage, the initial billet deforms partially, giving a bulge shape. Clear? So in the first case, see the starting stage, intermediate stage, and final stage. All three diagrams are shown in this. When we see the intermediate stage, see there was starting of work part. That in the starting stage, the force is being applied from the top. Clear? In the intermediate stage, the initial billet deforms
सर
partially.
आपकी आवाज सही नहीं आ रहा है सर, आपका वॉइस कट रहा है।
बच्चे वहाँ
हेलो
So in the intermediate stage, we see the initial billet deforms partially. So it is in this stage, it is start of, we can say, partial deformation or a bulged shape. Bulge shape is basically the shape that is produced like this. Clear? During the die full closure. Clear? So when the die is closed full, here the die is not fully closed. As we see, there is gap on this outside, this gap and this gap. During the full die closure, impression is fully filled with the deformed billet and further moves out of the impression in form of flash. So as this is the intermediate stage when die has not touched the below die here or it is not fully pushed into this. So in this case, when it is to be pushed, so when happened the bulging will go on increasing at it will be taking like if we see carefully there is a gap in the corners. Here are the gaps. Clear? So means we can say the die has the material has not fully covered the die until this stage. Clear? Further we go on increasing when we go on increasing the force upon this on this shape, it will be taking off this and the extra amount of material that will be go bulging out of this. This material is known as your flash that is to be cut off, that is to be trimmed later on. Clear? So what it says in multi-stage operation, separate die cavities are required for shape change. So when we are going for a multi-stage operations, we need separate die cavities for each shape. Like we have to change the shape, or we have to do like it is being done in stages. Like for example, if we are to provide a steps like, so we have to put it like something like the first stage has to be taken off the first step. The second one is if we have to give an like inclined surface, or we have to provide a stepwise like 1, 2, 3 steps on this. Then there will be it will be done in stages. In first stage, the first step will be taken off. In the second stage, like the inclination will be taken off. Like in third stage, it is a straight line. Then the straight die will be used. If we are requiring this, we can say a multi-stage operation for this. Then we have to use of separate die cavities for each shape. Like for a straight line, it should have like this. For when we have to do, we have to take an inclined over this, and we have to take this. When it is to be a straight line, then the die have to be different die. Clear? Uniform distribution of properties and microstructure are seen. Where in the initial stages there is uniform distribution, and the microstructure we can see it is uniformly distributed. In the final stage, actual shape modification is observed. So in this case, the final stage when we call a final stage of flash formation, when the flash is formed, clear? So the actual shape modification takes place in the final stage of this. When drop forging is used, several blows of hammer may be required for each step. So if we are going for a drop forging, like an impact for forging for this, so then we have to put on the, we can say frequent blows or many much several blows of the hammer that will be taking on to this for the completion of each step for the multi-stage also. Like for single for the first stage they have to be hammering of this the die. In the second stage, like if it is a more speed, then it will be more hammering. The third stage it will be lesser one. We have to put the lesser hammering. Where so hammering has to be taken off by as consideration with the shape of that and the final shape that will be requiring for this at each stage should be taken in the multi-stage. The formula used for open die forging can be used for this die. Force is equal to K force sigma force area, where F is the maximum force of the operation, area is projected area here, and Sigma F is flow stress as we are taking off of the material. Kf is forging shape factor. This is a fixed value of Kf as equal to forging shape factor for this. Now selecting the proper value of flow stress is difficult because the strain varies throughout the workpiece for complex shapes and hence strength varies. Because we cannot put on the, we can say, proper value of stress, a single value of stress or the actual value of stress cannot be calculated because uh, if there is, we are going for a complex shapes, then there will be change in the, we can say, the strain that will be varying at different sections of this. So as the shape will be changing, the section will be changing and the value of strain will also be changing for the complex shapes. So there will be change of, we can say, strain as with the strength also there is variation in strength due to the change in shapes. More sometimes an average strength is used to find shape vector and is used for taking care of different shapes of parts. So we normally we sometimes like if it is a complex structure and like it is consisting of three triangles. So we what we do is we get to, we can say, take an average of three triangles of this. Or we if it is like it is having a square shape and it is having two or three squares on this, then we will be taking the average value of squares for this particular factor for this, that is a shape factor for this, and then we are taking for this in this case. Then this is a table showing the values of shape factor used for force calculation and hot working. Appropriate flow stress to that temperature is used. In this case, C part shape impression die forging, and this is KF, that means is your forging shape factor. So simple shapes with flash, that is 6. In complex shapes with flash is 8. In very complex shapes with flash is 10 in this case. Where so what it says, like for the part and shapes that is simple, for it is 6. For if we go for a complex then 8, and it's very complex shapes with, but remember these all three shapes are with flash, means there will be taking off the trimming of the material at the end of this. So the shape vector should also be, forging shape vector should also consider that whether it is with flash or whether it is without flash in this case. Then part shape, now if you like, if this is a case of flashless forging, then coining top and bottom surfaces, then the your forging shape vector is 6, and for the complex shapes it is 8 in this case. The above equation is applied to find the maximum force during the operation. So when we put down these equations, that is your shape vector into sigma f into area, sigma f is your stress forces into area of this. Clear? So if we, it is for find the maximum force during the operation, since this is the load that will determine the required capacity of the press used in forging operation for this case. Clear? So this is, we can say, this is basically the load calculation that will be requiring for the required capacity of the press. So how much the capacity of, how can we calculate the capacity of press? Because it is as it is the, we can say, the press only that is being used to deform the structure, but we know we have what amount of force is to be applied on the press so that the deformation can take place, so that there will be, because it is a deformation process, so the force of press should always be greater than that of the required shape for building. So when we are to talk of the building, we have to take into consideration the maximum amount of capacity, or because it is all to determine the load. So we have to determine the required capacity of press for forging operation, so that amount of load it can deliver onto our workpiece for required deformation in every case. Then impression die forging is not capable of making close tolerance objects. Clear? So when we are talking of close tolerance objects, impression die forging is not helpful in this case. Like machining is generally required to achieve the accuracies needed. So we need machining for this, for to getting on the required accuracies for this. The basic geometry of the part is obtained from forging process, with subsequent machining done on those portions of the part that require precision finishing, like holes, threads, etc. So what we will do is just we make a cavity, or we can say, or we generate an overall, we can, shape of that particular product or particular shape. Then there is a, we can say, a series of subsequent machining done on that particular portion that are requiring finishing for this. Like if we talk of if there is holes present in this, it will be requiring finishing on this. And if we are like if it is having threads imparted onto it, then we have to cut it off the threads over this part. Clear? In order to improve the efficiency of closed die forging, precision forging was developed that can produce forging with 10 sections. And then it was the next class that was precision forging that can take off 10 sections. More complex symmetries, like if there is shape is more complex for this case, then closer tolerances, if there is the value of tolerances is closer in this case, and then elimination of machining allowances, because if we are to impart machining to this, then the machining allowances are to be given before that, because for machining, as we know, the shape will be taken off, the material will be taken off from that particular product, so allowance is to be added. That means extra material is to be added to the forging before it is to be calculated. So how much amount of machining is required, so that machining allowance means extra material is to be added in the product or the part, so that when the material is taken off by the machining at that time, it will be helping us, or it will be we can say within the tolerances values. It won't go inner the tolerance out of this tolerance values. In precision forging operation, sometimes machining is fully eliminated, which is called near net shape forging. And when we eliminate the fully use of this machining over this, means no use of machining after that we are producing out the finished part over this, and we are getting this required surface finish right on the forging also only. That is known as your near net shape forging for that process in this case. So